Shalom Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live here on live stream as well as on YouTube. I want to give you guys some updates of things that are happening right now. Udi Sigal, who works for Channel 2 News in Israel, put up this tweet here just a few hours back. Breaking, Netanyahu says, "My vision is that all Jewish settlements will be under Israeli sovereignty." And he put on there, Israeli officials confirm. They have confirmed that statement. Now, I think the statement is a bit older than that, maybe a couple of days older, something like that. But according to Udi Sigal, the Israeli officials have confirmed that Prime Minister Netanyahu is held up to this statement here, that all of the settlements that are inside of Judea and Samaria, inside the West Bank, will actually be under Israeli sovereignty. And this is something that myself, I believe that is the way it should be, seeing that, if there's a two-state solution actually does come into effect, then the Palestinians would end up enacting Sharia law. That's something that the Jewish people, you could never expect them to live under. Although, again, I don't believe that we should just, annex land. But when there is land that is available for the Israeli people, then they should have a right to be able to build on it, which we already know, too, that Prime Minister Netanyahu has done exactly that. He has now given the go-ahead on an apartment complex in East Jerusalem for 566 units to be built. And that has really brought up a windstorm with different nations, including France, who recently held the Middle East Peace Conference there at the building that we were at just here in Paris recently on Rue de la Commission, where all the nations that came against Israel. The only two that really did not come heavily against Israel, of course, in this case here, because of Donald Trump, but it wasn't so much the United States, but the United States didn't have a whole lot to do once England had backed down from signing off on the official document. But nonetheless, the resolution was passed back in December 23rd, Resolution 2334. And so Paris is saying that these new apartments that Israel has just signed off on the building permits are illegal. Although it cannot be illegal, because even in Paris, France, or in France itself, there was a court ruling that stated that this land inside Judea and Samaria, that Israel has a right to this land and that they are not illegal occupants, which Palestinians had sued the Paris rail companies that were building the trans railways inside of Israel, saying that it violated their land space, when the French court ruled just the opposite. So one thing that keeps coming to my mind is exactly what, we read the famous biblical scripture that all those that burden themselves with Jerusalem, they'll find themselves with a burdensome stone. And President Donald Trump may be the very man that causes the entire world to come against Jerusalem with his actions that he's doing. Not that I'm against his actions, moving the embassy to Jerusalem, and not only moving the embassy to Jerusalem, but even the U.S. Ambassador Friedman is going to reside in Jerusalem as well. Let me just kind of blow up on Ynet News this article here. Mr. Friedman actually has his own apartment there, so it's not that big of a deal for him to be able to do. And but he is vowing to live there rather than at the official residence in Herzliya, where the ambassador's residence is. He said he will work and conduct his business inside of Jerusalem, which is kind of like a first step, letting the world know that this is the way the U.S. administration now will have it, in a closer relationship with Israel. Now, keeping in mind all these actions, no doubt, will bring a lot of provocation with the Arabic world, and they will definitely come against Israel. And as long as Trump is in power, I'm sure he will also do as much as he can within his own power to defend Israel from their enemies. But I am keeping kind of a watchful eye on how this ends up going. Which way will it go? Who really knows? Not sure as of yet. Also today, Secretary Sean Spicer, who gave a press meeting there in Washington, very interesting briefing. We watched it live ourselves. One of the things that he spoke about, of course, he was asked about moving the embassy, the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv, and he did say that is still in the early negotiating stages there. He says we really are not ready to make the comment on it. But of course, we'd gotten from Israeli news the other day that they were going to make that announcement here today. But the mere fact that Sean is saying that, they are in the early stages of negotiations of moving that does let us know that, it is definitely a real deal. Another thing that Sean said that was kind of surprising to me, and maybe I didn't follow Donald Trump enough on his campaign, but they're really going to tackle the abortion, pro-life stance there, and tax funding for abortions is something that they're going to be. He's heavily against. He's looking at passing laws, I guess, for that. And he made it quite clear that Donald Trump is a pro-life president, and he believes in the rights of the unborn child. What a major change compared to all the past presidencies that we have had. Even though you might have had some presidents that lean towards pro-life, they're very cautious in their own statements, and Donald Trump has been very brass about what he has to say about the subject. He's done a lot of major executive orders here. This was the one that I mentioned to you earlier today. Now, I hope I didn't make a mistake, anybody misunderstand me. I didn't say that it actually has passed as of yet, but the U.S. exit from the United Nations could become reality with a fresh bill. This is what I was looking at on RT. It says a Republican proposed House resolution has quietly slipped past the public radar, proposing that the United States withdraw its membership from the United Nations. Just another bill was being concocted to cut out U.S. funding to the body. Now, let me kind of blow that up so you guys can see this as well. I don't want you to just get it from me, but it says the bill proposed by Republican Mike Rogers, Republican of Alabama, entitled American Sovereignty Restoration Act of 2017, seeks a complete U.S. withdrawal from the UN, that the international body removes its headquarters from New York, and that all participation be ceased with the World Health Organization as well. Rogers and other prominent Republicans have repeatedly voiced the idea that the U.S. taxpayer money should not go to the organization that does not promote U.S. interests, especially one that does not stick up to Israel's together with the U.S. The document is merely the latest manifestation of sentiment that has been brewing for some time. The bill was quietly introduced on January the 3rd. And was passed on the House Committee of Foreign Affairs. I do stand corrected on that. I think I actually believe that it was Congress that had passed it, and I apologize for that. It was the House Committee of Foreign Affairs that it says, and was passed on the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. If approved, the bill would take 2 years to take effect. It would also repeal the United Nations Participation Act of 1945, signed in the aftermath of World War II. Nonetheless, it is a very powerful statement. I really don't see it ever getting enough support to pass, but who knows what could happen in this particular President Trump's administration. But he also signs an executive order withdrawing the U.S. from the TPP, Trans-Pacific I believe that's what that is there. The largest global trade agreement in 20 years. The TPP would have included the United States, Austria, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, etc., etc., etc. And President Trump has effectively signed an executive order that has undone this Trans-Pacific Partnership, withdrawing the U.S. from the controversial Free Trade Pact. Without Washington's participation, the TPP would have to be renegotiated or scrapped altogether. I'm kind of waiting to see how is this going to affect the stock markets come tomorrow. It could be positive, it could be negative. Don't really know which way that's going to go. Anyway, we'll kind of be keeping you guys up to date there with other things that are breaking as we can get moving back here again. So I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. By the way, those of you who watch here on YouTube, do check us out on Israeli News Live on our live stream channel. We are now running Israeli News Live from live stream. So as we're airing here, you guys on live stream are seeing the exact same thing, but you get it before it actually gets up on YouTube. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun with Israeli News Live. And don't forget, if it is a blessing to you, we always do need your support in keeping this news ministry going, and we call it a ministry because we do get into the prophetic aspects as well, and encourage you to listen and be a part of that at IsraeliNewsLive.org. Shalom.